I think we feel as good as we can feel. I would say the length of the prep has felt probably a couple of days beyond what we'd have liked. I think we'd have really fancied a game just around the corner, given the momentum that we had and the feeling that we managed to capture at the stadium. But that wasn't to be, and I suppose we've tried to look at it as positively as possible and make sure that we squeeze the prep time as best we can, but also balancing the fact that the teams aren't necessarily used to prepping for games for as long as we have, and we've not wanted the tactical work to feel stale. We've wanted to make sure that we have a good blend of the type of training that leaves people with a smile on their face and the type of training that leaves people understanding how we want the team to play come game day. So that's been a fine line to tread, I would say, but fingers crossed we've been just on the right side.
We've just seen you practicing penalties. Do you feel like you got what you wanted out of that?
Yeah, I saw no secret when I was at Man United. It was well documented that the manager, he really pushed a long prep on penalties that sort of started to take place just after Christmas and the cup competitions came into play, and that paid dividends there, and that was in my mind when we started talking about preparation for this. And I think you look at it one or two ways. You can make far too big a deal of it and overplay the preparation, because nothing really replicates what it feels like come game day. But I felt like over the course of the last week we've managed to put enough different twists on the penalty preparation that the players will feel as prepared as they can be for that situation, for sure.
When you're prepping for a series, 2 of 3, or if it goes all 3 as opposed to just one and done, how much do you lean on your depth in that situation as opposed to just a one and done thing? You have to make decisions right then and there for one game.
Yeah, I think that changes slightly as we've hit this period in the year, in the sense that we're not playing every 3 or 4 days. This is the only week where we would experience a 4-day turnaround. So it's not that I'm looking at this period as one in which we're going to have to probably extend to all sort of 21, 22 outfield players that we have as part of the group. I think you'll probably see a smaller spread of minutes across those guys. We can build more purposefully around a smaller number of players, and that's not a reflection on the depth that we've got. That's just the nature of, I think, the timescales that we have now. So we've wanted some real consistency in the lineup. We've now got some real consistency in the lineup, and the types of changes that we're making. So I'm not minded to sort of alter that all that often, because I feel like we've got a good rhythm, and we want to make sure we've got that contributing factor from the bench like we did have against St. Louis at home, but we also want to make sure that we've got some stability and consistency. So it's striking that balance as well.
What do you like most about the way you guys are playing?
I think you can't look past how we're defending at the moment. I think even if you look at the goal that we gave up against St. Louis, it was a counter-attack. We've counter-attacked. We've left some space that typically there wasn't during the game, and they've really ruthlessly took advantage of that. But I think other than that, we were very good value for a clean sheet, I would say, as we have been for lots of this mini 10-game period. So I feel like that's given us a platform to have the results that we've had. But we're also looking a real threat on the counter-attack. We've started to score from set plays again, which I think is a really important thing for us, and we can create in general play. So I feel like in all moments of the game we're posing a real threat for the opposition. But I think the basis of any success that we've had or will have will be us defensively and the solidity that we've shown.
Eric, in last year's playoffs, the team that won game one won every series, showing the importance of starting strong. How do you look at that aspect?
Yeah, I actually think in some senses there's an advantage to being in our position here, in the sense that I can really sell to the players that if we can go and win that first game, that we can win the series at home. And I think in our position, with the atmosphere, with the environment that our fans create and our stadium creates, and the momentum that we've picked up on over the course of the last couple of games, that is a real selling point for us. And I think we've had a good performance when we've been up there. We will be going to win it in 2. I don't think there's any secret there. I know it's been talked about publicly. That's been a message for us. I'm sure it's a message for them as well. But I feel like with us being able to bring that second game home, we got a really good chance.
Minnesota's sort of, it seems like everyone's trendy upset pick. Do you feel like you almost have to guard against a sense of overconfidence at this point?
Yeah, absolutely. I've made the point to the players this morning that we've, well, in a slightly different context, but we've got the best away record in the West. We're going there as the best road team, but we're doing that on the basis of certain performance characteristics, and we can't take that for granted that we're going to go in there and continue that form. We've got to make sure that we do the things that we've done up until this point, certainly in this 10-game period, that we're doing them to a really high level. There's no complacency setting in. We're not getting ahead of ourselves. We're really grinding results out in the way that we've done for large periods, and then we're adding maybe that comfort that we found in a couple of home games recently in terms of the margins we've been able to get on teams and that extra bit of quality that we've added, I would say, at the top of the pitch. pitch, but certainly that grit, the determination, the discipline that's put us where we are at the moment, we have to see that again.
Eric, I'm curious if you have any comments on Ten Hag and Manchester United.
No, it's from my position here. I'm only focused on what we're doing. Obviously, I've seen the headlines, and I think any head coach would say that it's disappointing to see another manager lose their job. Eric was someone that I really liked, someone that I took an incredible amount from when I worked with him, and it's obviously sad to see how it's panned out there. But I suppose that's how these things go, and we've got a job to focus on here, I suppose.
When Minnesota's been good on the road, the games have tended to be lower scoring. How do you keep it from turning into sort of a track meet like maybe the game in Colorado earlier this year?
Yeah, we have to manage the opening stages of the games there well. I think it's obviously they're difficult conditions to play in. I haven't played in those conditions, but from the numerous conversations I've had with people, yeah, the altitude's not as bad as it is at Colorado, but it's definitely a factor there, and that's something that we've got to manage in the opening stages. We've got to be really intelligent as to how aggressive we are when we haven't got the ball, how much space we choose to defend in, and then when we've got the ball, we've got to strike that balance well between attacking with the rhythm that has put us in a really good position recently, and finding our front players quickly and taking the space that the opposition give us, but also having enough of the ball that we manage the conditions well, and that it doesn't become a game that is so chaotic that it's a toss of a coin. We feel like we can control the game in a certain number of ways, and we need to really do that, particularly in the opening stages.
What do you need to be conscious of emotionally, given the way that the last game ended with Bear and the Spurs?
Yeah, obviously he won't play in the game tomorrow, so we're not going to make too big a deal of that. But we also want the game to have an edge to it. I feel like we're one of those teams that benefits from there being an undertone of real competitiveness and edge to the game, and we will play on that, but only up to a certain point. I think I don't think any of our players are going to need any extra motivation for this game, and in some senses, as I just mentioned, we want to make sure that we play the opening stages in a controlled way and not in a way that reflects a rivalry that's about to boil over in any way, because I don't think that would suit us.
What do you notice about their team, the way they play, and what makes them so challenging?
Yeah, well, I think you've got two very distinct styles when you look at them and you look at St. Louis, the game that we've played recently. So there are some messages that carry over, but if you look at St. Louis, they had two big physical forwards that they looked to play into very quickly, that were trying to take the space in behind, that were a big threat when they cross into the box. Salt Lake are almost the opposite in the sense that they've got what is sometimes 3-10s, not much threat on the back line other than the players that are playing right on the outside. So in that sense, the picture is very different. But in terms of the principles that sit behind the way in which we defend, not giving much space away to the opposition, being really aggressive in certain parts of the pitch, defending in a really meticulous, detailed way, they're the messages that carry over. So I feel like I'm most focused on making sure that we execute those principles to a high level, because I feel like irrespective of the opposition threats, irrespective of whether it's that end of the spectrum, St. Louis, that end of the spectrum, Salt Lake, they're principles that stand you in good stead. So that's mostly been the focus, aside from the sort of very obvious things with them and their craft between the lines and the type of players that can really hurt you if they give you too much space.
A 3-game playoff series. Comment for?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be my first time taking part of this. I think the only thing I can't quite wrap my head around is a penalty win versus a 5-0 win is judges like the same. So that's the only thing I think is dumb. But apart from that, it's we're just going to go ahead and take one on the road.
Obviously, last time you guys played in Real Salt Lake, there were a lot of emotions at the end of the game. How much of that will carry over to the start of this one?
For me, not too much. I don't think it's a lot of time has passed. I get over things pretty quickly. So just mind on the job. If we can put in a good, complete performance on the road again, and like I said before, we have to win a game on the road, and we're great to win tomorrow night.
Do you have certain teammates you feel like you need to take aside and say, listen, if you get sent off in this one, you can't play in the next one, so keep it going?
I don't think so. I think I'm probably the one of the hotter heads on the team. So I think no one's really been sent off since very early on in the season. So I think we've kind of grown and matured as the season's kind of come along. And we know what's at stake during this run. And we're a squad that needs every single one of us to compete a game, so we need to make sure we're all together on that.
In last year's playoffs, the 3-game series, the one that won game one won the series every time.
Okay.
What does that show you about just kind of the importance of starting
I mean, yeah, it's massive. I think it's all about momentum for us. I think with the last 10 games or so, we're not short of confidence, and especially on the road this season, we've been decent. So I think, we're not even thinking about game 3. It's all about putting all our energy and focus into tomorrow night.
So with that being said, in terms of playing a playoff game on the road, where do you balance being aggressive to maybe try to take a crowd out of it early on, or as opposed to maintaining and maybe have a late strike? So where's the balance in trying to be aggressive but also trying to maintain your back line?
You kind of see now our approach to previous games where it's all about being solid defensively and denying them space where we don't want them to play. I think they've got some quality pieces up top when we need to quieten down. But I think if we kind of get a foothold into the game and we know we're going to get chances here or there with the front 4 or 5 that we have going forward, they're dangerous. So I don't know. It may not be in the first half, and then if we keep things close, we make a lot of changes and we bring a lot of energy off the bench, so those guys will be ready if it's close with 20 minutes to go.
How much does it add to that confidence, especially with the way the game against St. Louis ended, where you see 3 guys come on and then they instantly contribute like that? How much morale boost does that give a team knowing that at any moment, no matter who's coming off the field, you guys are capable of cashing in on an opportunity?
Yeah, I think that's massive for us, for our mentality that when we're defending as 11, we know that everyone's bought in, and that we know that at any point in time Calvin could pull something out of his hat, and then if we keep things close, as you said, for the first 60, that we've got so much energy and legs off the bench that other teams struggle to keep up with. So as long as we know that defensively we keep things tight, we're always in for a chance.
Boxing, what's been the biggest key to your guys' defensive success over the
I think it's just everyone's bought in. We've got 11 guys defending behind the ball. I think we were reviewing the St. Louis match, I think 83rd minute when we were up 2 or 3-1, and we've got our front guys, Tanny, who's defending probably 40 yards from Dane's goal. So I think everyone's just bought in, and everyone knows that they have to chip into the defensive effort. It's not just a Jefferson or a Dane thing, it's the whole team.
How difficult is it to defend a guy against a guy like Chicho Arango, who's a great player, but also is an antagonist, a physical player? What does that change for defending a guy like that?
Obviously he brings a lot to his game. I think with Salt Lake he's one that scores off service. So I think if we can stop deliveries into the box in the final third and just make things predictable, where myself, Carlos, and Jefferson can put a body on him, then I think the one goal he scored was he just had a free run and at a ball that was delivered from an area that we need to do better to shut them down. So I think if we do that, deny the service and get a body on him first, then that goes a long way. All right, cool. Thank you.